Now, let's talk about healing in general. In
Okay.
your experience and observation, what are the best or required factors, environments, or helpful tools that might help a person to heal their inner wounds?
Hmm. Wow, that's complicated. Um, I think the first thing is person just has to have the motivation to do it. They have to have some internal motivation to do the work because I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of opportunity. All the external stuff is correct, and they just don't do it. So the first thing is that ingredient is something, some spark has to happen within a person that says, "Oh my God, I want to look inside." Now, of course, I think it's easier to look inside if people are more independent from their parents, if they have a sense of freedom, if they have a sense of, I don't know, their own self-worth, if they tend to be less traumatized. I think it's easier to do more self-work. Um, I think it helps if people have people who really believe in them around them. So I think people often who are more skilled, who are more talented, who are, I don't know, generally more loved, more intelligent. I think a lot of these things help because the world is giving someone a lot of positive feedback, a lot of positive mirroring. So it's easier to see one's gifted self if the world is mirroring back a lot of positivity. And I think some people, when they're getting mirrored back a lot of that positivity, are more likely to just wake up and realize, oh my God. But I think it also can be a combination of fucked up things happening. It's like my family, at a very crucial time in my life, in my early 20s, right around when I was waking up, my parents were going through horrible conflicts, and then they divorced when I was 21 and split up, and it was extremely ugly. And my dad having affairs, and my mom being an alcoholic, and it's just like chaos happened at a very profound transitional time in my life that just made me realize, oh my God, the example that these people, my parents, have set for me for my adulthood, the path that I was supposed to follow, the footsteps that I was supposed to follow are wrong. These people have totally fucked up their lives. And oh my God, I have to try something different. So I really stepped away from my parents and started really searching within myself. I also think something that made it easier for me was that it started to work. I noticed it. Right away, I started to notice benefits from doing this inner work. I started making better decisions for myself. I started having better relationships with women, you know, women being people who I was romantically interested in. I started having better relationships with my friends. I started finding new friends. I started having more courage to go out in the world and try different things. I started trusting myself more than trusting books. I started really listening to an inner voice inside of myself, and I realized that inner voice was actually loud and had good instincts. And I started following what that little inner voice said and realizing, oh my God, I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. I gained a lot of confidence very early on, and I started really following my own path and my own mission, and realizing just with the evidence that, oh my God, what I'm doing is working. And having that repeated hundreds and thousands of times, I became very confident in what I was doing. What else helped? Um, a lot of things. I mean, 10 years of no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. That really was a chance to be just with me. And all the things I talked about before, I didn't do it all for 10 years. The whole time I was a therapist. Um, I did a lot of dream analysis, really studying what the hell was going on inside my unconscious when I was sleeping, because I had a good ability to remember my dreams. I did tons of that analyzing. A huge amount of journaling to really strengthen my relationship with myself and to really explore my motives and explore my behaviors. Celibacy, I did that for 10 years. Didn't have any relationships with women romantically, or very, very minimal. Maybe the first couple of years I was exploring it, but then maybe 7, 8 years of just nothing, no kissing anybody, no holding hands, no dating. 2 years without masturbating, really just exploring that whole active sexual side of my life, just totally not doing that and getting to know who I am and what are my sexual feelings and what do they mean, and to really explore myself in a sexual way with very few variables, because not even masturbating or dating was definitely an extreme way to explore myself. Um, Being very careful of who I spent my time around, spending my time only with friends who had really, really good boundaries, so that I really learned what it was like to be very well respected by the people I spent my time with. Also, my work was work as a therapist. So I was spending all of my days, basically all of my energy, just focused on healing. In this case, it was other people's healing. So I really got to watch other people do their healing process, some better and some worse, but to really observe a broad swath of humanity, because I really worked with a very broad variety of people. I think it helped that I traveled a lot. Before I was a therapist, I traveled a huge amount all over the world, hitchhiking and backpacking and just doing wild stuff, going to strange foreign countries and living there, learning a lot of other languages. And then after being a therapist, I've been doing that for the last 3 years. So I've really gotten a great chance to explore the world. I think that really helps for people to see what other people are like, what other cultures are like, how other people live their lives, but at the same time to realize that at a fundamental level, we're all the same. And for me, that is so confirmed now. My inner world definitely applies to other people. It's like humans are really not that different at a fundamental level. Yes, culture makes it seem like we're pretty different, but we all need the same things. We want the same things. So basically, really realizing the universality of my experience has been very, very helpful. Also, staying very far away from my family has been very helpful because they're not triggering all those ancient early traumas that they inflicted on me. So staying away from my parents, it's given me a real chance to explore my childhood without them getting their fingers in the middle of it, because at a lot of levels, my parents are very extremely unsupportive of me exploring my childhood traumas because it doesn't make them feel good and it doesn't make them look good. Also, what are my childhood traumas that they inflicted on me? They're just a replication of the things that my grandparents did to my parents. My parents, in a very minimal way, have dealt with the traumas of their own childhood. So by me dealing with my traumas, closely around them, it's triggering all their unresolved traumas, which both my parents have been pretty largely committed to not exploring. So basically, they were very unhealthy people for me to be around. I needed to get the hell away from them. So as a universal thing, I think it's generally very, very helpful for people when they're doing deep healing work to get the hell away from their parents so they can explore their traumas in a safe, protected environment where they're not being sabotaged by people. Even though parents, a lot of times, they try to be helpful, a lot of times, even whether they want to or not, they're not very helpful. So this isn't to say my parents are the evilest people in the world. They're not. But it's been very important for me to get away from them. And I think for a lot of people, it's very important to get away from their parents. On the other hand, I very much can be supportive of people who want to go back to their parents and explore more about their parents and explore their relationship. Anyone who feels the motivation to go back to their parents and they want to try it, they're not going to get any trouble from me because I'd say go back and try it. I've done it many times. Go back and see what it's like. And then I often, and actually every time, have realized again, more often than not, the last like 10 years, I've realized very quickly, okay, I realized I had the urge to go back to them, and very quickly I realized, bad call, get the hell away. Or maybe I went in for a specific reason to get some specific information that I wanted or something, some bit of knowledge that I felt that they could give me or some bit of knowledge that the interaction with them would give me. And I've gotten that. A lot of times it's been very painful. Some ugly, horrible stuff has happened to me in the last 10, 15 years with my parents in terms of very painful emotional rejections. But even that has been very helpful for me to understand who these people really are, who I really am, what my unconscious needs really have been. And so it's given me a chance to really grow a lot. So, and then, I don't know, just putting a lot of energy into living a very healthy lifestyle, and all that has been extremely useful in terms of me growing. And I think that from what I've seen with others, this is also pretty universal. People who do a lot of things to really further their own self-growth, to work on their own internal traumas and to try to resolve them, to do a lot of grieving and healing, those are the things that help people move forward in life. And so, I guess in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is.